adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Yeah.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, thanks very much. Good morning, councillors, good morning, officers, and welcome to our first full council meeting for 2023. Hopefully it's going to be a year that we see lots of positives coming for the region, and I think on the back of what we've had through COVID and a few of the other hurdles that we've had to overcome, I'm really taking a positive tone, and I'm sure the council would support that, and I hope everyone's got the same approach for 2023. So looking forward to big and great things, and I think with the announcement of the Heritage Minerals mine and that to start the year off, it's a good tone. So welcome, and I'll officially open the meeting. I'd firstly like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today, the Darumbal people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend that respect to our neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within our local government area, the Gungaloo Nation people, the Barada, Cabelbarra and Yeddamarala people. Also acknowledge the Torres Strait Islander peoples whose lands are in the Torres Strait but who live and work on Aboriginals' land. Councillor presence, we have Councillor Smith's en route, and I haven't heard anything from Councillor Mathers. Councillor Smith's just arrived on June, but Councillor Mathers, I'm sure he's in traffic as well. But Councillor Fisher has tendered an apology for today's meeting, so I'll accept that from the floor. But could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to... don't need one for Councillor Fisher, so I'll move on to the confirmation of the previous minutes that were recorded from the meeting on the 13th of December 2022 be confirmed. Move Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Wickerson. I'll put that. Those in favour, those opposed. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Declarations of interest in matters on the agenda, councillors. If there's any, we haven't had anything recorded, but if there is something that comes out during the course of the meeting, please let us know and we can record that at that time. Business outstanding nil, public deputation forums nil, President's petitions nil, committee reports nil, and councillor delegation reports nil. So we'll move straight into the officers' reports. Officers Report 11.1, the Rockhampton Regional Economic Development Strategy 2023 to 2028 for the Rockhampton region, the Economic Action Plan. So, councillors, this is really laying the foundations and the blueprint for the next 5 years about how we grow our region, and it's something there that we've all seen the graphs about how we really do need to grow, and this is really giving us the plan to be able to develop that and go forward. I think we've heard with some of these great announcements that are happening. We want to continue that and grow the region and make sure that we've got prosperity for all our residents, and also for people that want to come live, visit and invest in the region. So we see that as a great opportunity, and this report really does give us the opportunity to start to move in that direction about growing the economy, and also with major events and entertainment for the region as well. It's a great opportunity there through the number of consultations and the phases, and I really do like to thank Greg and Advance Rockhampton and the team for the work that they've done through that public consultation over the last 12 months and before to engage with our community, to find out what their views are on taking us forward, and have their say on the development of the strategy and the plan and how it moves forward. So, on that note, I'd just like to thank the team for the work that they've done. There's been a lot of work in developing that. So I'll hand over to Greg now to present the report, and look forward to questions from the councillors. Thank you. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Mayor and councillors. If you'll indulge me just for 1 minute to thank you for your support around the council table over the last 2 years. Could we have delivered this plan faster? Yes, of course we could have, but I think spending this 2 years together, whether that be myself with you or with my entire team, learning what you were after and what the region was after, I think what we've come up with here is a document that should be palatable to the table, but more importantly palatable to the business community and the wider community at large. I want to thank my Advance Rockhampton team, a couple that are here today, and Mary and Wade, others online. thank you very much. The work that they've put into this document over the last couple of years, but also the engagement. And I think it's a really important one, not just the formal engagement that listed in the document of over 1,500 people, but just that day-to-day engagement with industry, day-to-day engagement in general, learning what people want. And I think that engagement works a number of ways. And the Mayor and I were fortunate enough to meet Lewis McKee, the country singer, this morning, doing media. And just that engagement alone, we learnt that young Lewis has taken a job back in Rockhampton. So one of our homegrown country music stars has now come home. That's his new song, by the way. So, just that engagement alone showed us that, you can learn things just by that day-to-day engagement. I don't have to tell you around the table that. You do it on a day-to-day basis as well. But thank you for indulging the last 2 years, but also supporting the last 2 years. So the document today that's presented to you, it's the next stage. You all saw the draft back in November when we spoke about it last. We've since been out to consultation. A number of submissions, but 8 detailed submissions were received and considered. It was downloaded over 80 times. Are they big numbers? Probably not, but remember how much engagement we did have during the process as well, over 1,500 people. So they're not easy to read documents, they're economic documents and they're very large. It's why I implore you to carry this one-pager around with you everywhere you go. It's a nice, easy to explain, well, easy enough, easy for me anyway, to explain, but much easier than carrying 90 pages around. But I'd love you to promote this wherever you go. One of my staff texted me early this morning and said, this is a moment in history. I suppose I hadn't thought of it that way, but, and I think hopefully over coming years, but when we get to 2028, we look back and go, yes, we actually did make history. We planned the growth and we're on track to double that population. We're on track to double that number of jobs. We're on track to double the GRP of the region. So, those sort of things are important. And I do look back to the outset of Advance Rockhampton back in 2015, 2016, and look at what was produced then and look at what's been produced. So it is about that evolution of a region, and that sustainable growth. We talk a lot about growth, but I am always conscious of sustainable growth and making sure that we take the people with us as part of this. So could we have been more bold? I suppose we could have, but would that have brought the people along? We might have just been ridiculed because of the boldness, some of the boldness in there. So it's finding that fine line. I said to a councillor yesterday that asked a question, I said, I think that there will be things that we don't know about yet. So the next big thing you don't probably know yet. So the document, not just the document, but Advance Rockhampton's remit through you gives us the flexibility to pick up something new as it comes up. And that's part of the excitement of the job for me is, not everything that we'll do in the next 5 years is sitting in these 2 documents. So I suppose today is really just to update on the community consultation and look for endorsement of these final strategies so we can go forth, start delivering. I will note that I don't think it's listed in there, it could be, that we will give a yearly update on this plan. So all of those key actions we'll report it on yearly. So back in 2017 that was done. Unfortunately, it wasn't done again after that. It is my plan, it's Advance Rockhampton's plans to give a yearly update. The beauty also of this document and all these action items, it helps us to easily develop an operational plan and a budget to go with that, so we don't have to spend as much time building those plans and we can get on and actually deliver. So I suppose, Mayor, I'm happy to take questions, of course, but yes, I present these two documents to the Chamber and look for your endorsement.
No, thanks very much, Greg. And I'll just add to that before we go to some questions, the opportunities in those 5 areas that we're working in, those 5 pillars, but also some of the industries and opportunities identified, defence and logistics and the defence industry capabilities, also agriculture and water, transport and logistics, energy, resources, manufacturing, mining services. Again, that's an area that we're big on, but I think there's room there to be, we need to be involved in that. Professional service, residential aged care and construction, and visitor economy and major events. So I think we've got opportunities there to look to the future and see how we can best position our region to grow and take advantage of those opportunities going forward. So I'll go to questions. I'll see Councillor Kirkland has her light on first, and Councillor Smith. Councillor Kirkland.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and it really isn't a question. I took a great deal of time with Greg yesterday to go through the documents, and I said this to him yesterday in one small sentence. I think it's great. Thank you. And I echo your comments earlier, Mr. Mayor, and certainly agree with everything that you've said with regards to these documents, plural. And I love the little easy to hand out thing, because I think that, or to discuss with our constituents where we are going, what the plan is, because if we don't plan, then we fail. And certainly this is a really strong document that has taken time, yes, but because of that, it's not lacking anything. It's got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and it's got KPIs. One of the things that we see with a lot of our strategies is that we do these strategies and then that's all we do. We just have a strategy. We never actually follow through with it. Whereas these documents are holding Advance Rockhampton accountable to KPIs that are measurable, that are actually going to be reported back to us annually. And I think that that's a great thing from the table's perspective, to have some sort of measurement of what's happening in this space. And the delivery of the promises is a really big thing, and I think that our community will be riding our backs to make sure that these things are delivered. And it's collaboration with all of our neighbours, as well as with all tiers of government, and that's all highlighted in here. Obviously everything in the document's not going to be done by AR, but the fact that it's in there means that all of the voices, all the people who have a voice, are going to be talking to all the people who need to be hearing about what Rockhampton's doing and where we're going. So thank you, congratulations, and I am happy to be a part of endorsing these documents for Rocky Region.
Thanks very much, Councillor. And again, you're quite right. It's about working with those other levels of government, because that infrastructure is going to be required for that growth to go forward. It's critical that we bring the other levels of government on, along with us on this journey. So I see this as our plan, the whole councillors and the council team, as far as the community as well. So again, thank you for that support. Councillor Smith and then Councillor Wickerson.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yeah, wonderful document. Congratulations and all your hard work from your team over there. With the key industries, I know it's hard to pick them, and I suppose you go by the stats, the total output, sales, etc. But we have a huge industry with our transport and logistics, and I don't know if I've even introduced you to all the people at the Graceville Industrial Precinct, and I apologise if I haven't had you out there, but there's 1,000 people employed in there, but also Parkhurst has a huge industry with transport and logistics, and a lot of that is repairing mining equipment, and I suppose the mining would be, part of that mining figure. So I just thought, well, you've mentioned 6 of them, but we have a whole lot more, and I think the Mayor's mentioned them as well, that we can hang our hat on and be very proud of.
Yes, Councillor, if I could just sort of address that for you. That page you're looking at is the current key industries, the top 6. One of our growth opportunities is certainly transport and logistics. That's been identified. I'm on a personal mission, as I know Angus is as well, to increase the usage of those 2 industrial areas that you referred to, the GIA, the Parkhurst areas. We are perfectly located from a logistics and transport point of view. I'd love to see more trucking companies based here. I'd love to see more freight coming through here, whether that be through airports, road, rail, port. We are perfectly located. All of that's highlighted in our defence document. So certainly of the 7 growth opportunities, transport and logistics is well and truly up there.
Can I just make a comment? And with the ring road, it will link those 2 industrial areas as well, so
Yeah.
bring on the ring road.
And the airport.
And the airport,
Yeah,
for sure.
I was going to mention that when you mentioned Councillor Smith. I think that's a great opportunity. And then again, with the collaboration through the Central Queensland Organisation of Councils, the Inland Rail, opportunities that could stem from that as well, that around that transport and logistics, if that project's starting to take shape as well. In the years to come, we've got to be on the front foot and look at opportunities there as well.
It really opens up Central and Northern Australia, that inland rail. I mean, we're already open to it, but that just creates a different link to Central and Northern Australia. And if they come on the inland rail, they come on the port, come through the airport, they've got to come through here. Come on the rail, they've got to come through Rocky. So, as you know, I always say, we are the gateway to Northern Australia. So, they've got to come through Rocky.
And that's again, that's critical with that ring road project, that's on the board again, and we want to make sure that it's delivered to the scope that we expect. So it's great to see. So it's all shaping up for a good start. Let's just keep that momentum up throughout the rest of the year. Thanks very much for that, for those comments, Councillor Smith. Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you to Greg and team, once again, just to commend this strategy. Good things take time, so I'm not distressed that it took 2 years to get it as perfect as we can get it. Just to pick up on a few highlights for me anyway, certainly with defence, and a little bit concerningly, defence is a big issue at the moment. Just have to watch the news. We're in a great position geologically, geographically even, probably geologically, who knows?
Maybe.
To be far enough from the north, but also close enough to Brisbane to be obviously central. So that'll be playing our favour. I know we're working terribly hard again with the team to explore every avenue to get some of that economy and manufacturing and everything else here, which is good. With mining, well, overall this strategy is very balanced, that it doesn't play one side against the other. While we continue to support the coal mining resource sector strongly, as we always have, we're looking over the horizon to renewables and even other technologies that are emerging too. So I think you alluded to that there might be technologies or other opportunities coming up that we haven't even dreamed about yet. So to have a strategy that forms our blueprint for going forward, it also has that capacity to take on new challenges as well. And I was pleased to see also tourism in there, that even though dollar-wise it's not a huge player, it's still significant. But one thing that sprung to mind, because tourism covers not only people that want to sit on the beach, but it's sports tourism, it's cultural tourism, it's a range of other things. People just catching up with their friends that they can now do with that they couldn't do for so many years. So all of those things come under that visitor economy. But even though it's not a big player, you've got to remember that those people then become our ambassadors. They go away and they spread the word about how great this region is. So even though it's dollar-wise probably not the biggest player, it's still a very important player, so I'm very pleased that that's captured there too. And finally,
really good comment, Councillor, that livability and visitability that I talk about a lot. I say I'm with you. It's not the big number, so if we wanted to throw it out, we could purely on economic numbers, but it's so important to that visitor economy and also for the people that live here. So
yeah, no, that's right. And just finally, Mr Mayor, even though it's a great document, it is a great document, it also picks up on things where we could do better. We're not perfect, no one is, but if you don't identify where the weaknesses are or where we can do things better, we never will. So I'm pleased that we picked up things that maybe we need to pick up our game as a whole of council. So that's good to identify it, and then we can address it. So we're well done.
That's right. No, thank you, Councillor Wickerson. I do also send my acknowledgements out to the AEC group, who in the early stages of this project produced a 90-page economic analysis for us that drove a lot of what's in here as well. So I do acknowledge their input, and those sort of things were spoken about in those early days. Working to our key strengths, but also acknowledging that we have some real challenges out there as well to overcome. So, you know, it's a very honest document on that front as well. So.
You're right, Councillor Wickerson. I think, you know, we have some challenges there, but also what we've been able to achieve, we shouldn't forget that, because what AR have done with Rocky Nats and fishing the Fitzroy, those types of, like you say, that word of mouth and getting that message out about what we have to come to the region and the livability about what it is something there that we see the opportunities that are starting to get that word out there and putting Rocky on everyone's radar. But also further looking to development with tourism is the Fireclay Caverns and what we can achieve in that space as well. So there are projects there that we need to start moving on and looking for opportunities now that Heritage Minerals have been given the tick, how we can take opportunities for that as well. So I think there's you know, room to move in that space, but a lot of work that's got to be done in the background to get that up and running. So that's another one. We all need to work together and put our shoulder to the wheel and try and achieve these things for the betterment of the community going forward. So I think we've exhausted all the questions there, Greg. I'd just like to again commend the team and the effort that's been put together in these documents, and it really does give us the foundations to move forward in the next 5 years to achieve some of these goals. So on that note, I'm happy to move and seek a seconder. Councillor Kirkland, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, councillors. It is a great achievement and one we can... Great achievement and one we can all take credit for, so thank you. Moving on to our next agenda item, 11.2, sponsorship of InfoFish Australia and the Suntag Forum. Yes, I'll hand over to you. Thanks, Greg. Again, it's building off the theme that we've done there, and you know, some of that great work in the tourism space as far as recreational fishing goes. So, hand over to yourself. And
thank you, Mayor. And you probably said it in that last report. You mentioned fishing the Fitzroy. This has a number of facets to it, but one is certainly building upon that fishing the Fitzroy brand that is growing significantly along the way. And you know, it's a journey, just like tourism. Fishing for Fitzroy as a brand is also a journey. I think everyone knows who InfoFish is. I've actually forgotten his name.
Bill.
Bill Sornick, that's right. So Bill runs InfoFish. It's a Rockhampton company, and they're celebrating the 1 millionth tagged fish. So you know, it's quite an achievement, which is great. You know, if you're into fishing, I suppose that means something. I'm not so much into fishing. I certainly have become more into marketing fishing since I arrived here over 2 years ago. But you know, I think from this point of view, not only does it continue to sell our brand down in South East Queensland, but if you've read the whole report and/or the proposal from Bill, it also puts us on the global stage, because later in the year, this will be a video that goes global, and their fishing markets will make sure of that. So, you know, Rocky will be part of that. The benefits from this is the Mayor and Zach Garvin will attend the dinner. The Mayor will address that dinner as well. So just that extra chance, not just a logo, that extra chance to sell our city and sell our fishing offering. So the report is to spend $2,000 in funding for the sponsorship of this Suntag Forum, which will be attended by some key state and federal officials with DAF and others, fisheries in Queensland as well. So.
No, it's no small milestone, 1 million fish being tagged. There's quite a number of years that have gone into that when it's a figure, but that's about the sustainability of the fishing, and having that data that's provided back from those tags really does you know, put us in good stead to make sure that resource is still there for many years to come for everyone to enjoy. Come up and grab that trophy fish and tick the box about that fish of a dream, but then put it back into the system for somebody else to enjoy and for it to live its life out. So great opportunity, and yeah, Bill's been a great promoter of the recreational fishing development strategy. We've read 97% of that strategy. So we look to the second stage of that one as well, and what that can mean for our area as well. So there's major opportunities there. Also, while in Brisbane with this one, I'm not just going down for this one, but I'm meeting with other ministers as well. So it's a dual purpose while having that opportunity in Brisbane as well. So I look forward to those things as making the most out of those travel opportunities. What we can do. A couple of questions there, councillors. Councillor Wickerson, sorry.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a few comments, really. One about the strategy that we set the pace on this with a lot of work from Wade Clark, I know. Mr Fishing himself, second only to you, Mr Mayor, of course. This strategy was picked up by, and correct me, Wade, Mackay and Cairns, I think, plagiarised it to death, even though Cairns won't admit to that, they did. So it must be pretty damn good, and again, congratulations. But another point, Council for a long time has been contributing to some of these million tag fish. I can't think of the actual dollar figure, but I always recall that I don't think it's nearly enough. So it might be a good time if I could request maybe that officers consider a brief report back. You know, could we increase that amount? The fish don't get there by magic. They're quite expensive. I think maybe down the track a bit, because we're looking at different fish breeding programs that maybe we could start to do our own, but I think for now we have to purchase these. That's why they're a bit expensive to get in live fish and tag them and let them go. But for its own right, but also when you're presenting to this conference, it might be a good time to announce that we have doubled our contribution, which sounds like a lot, but I don't think we're putting a lot into it at the moment. It might be in the thousands, not tens of thousands, but it's the future of our fishing, so I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, you're right, Councillor Wickerson. I think it's getting credit to Wade and his passion for the area, and I think it started from small beginnings. But Bill Byrne, as the minister, with the removal of the nets and out of the system, was something there that he fought very, very passionately for as well. But then the benefits from that flow on from that. I think stage 2 is where we start to look at how we can maximise that, and it's about protecting that resource and what's happening with the agriculture development area with the South Rockhampton High School, in partnership with that, about looking at fingerlings and how that can be an ongoing sustainable introduced back into the system with that as well. But then looking at further to a permit system, or whether we can have an impoundment permit to allow for barramundi fishing for a 12-month period. So that's something there that I'll be talking with the Minister about, taking opportunities for that. So there's a lot of work to be done in the background of that, but taking advantage of that great milestone and the work that's been achieved to date with that millionth fish being tagged.
That's right. And I think, Mayor and councillors, I think You know, when Wade and the council started on this journey, it was a very different focus. I commend Zach's work along with Wade as well. We've turned it not only from an industry and a future sustainable fishing strategy to a very much a tourism strategy as well. So Zach spends a lot of time in this space as well now and administers that Facebook site, which is so popular.
Yeah, and I've had a look at the sneak peek of the new video that's coming out with the Barramundi opening, the closure for the closure of the season. So yeah, that's a classic. So look forward to that one. Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Can I preface what I'm about to say or question by saying that absolutely support InfoFish, the initiative, the work that's being done, the conference last year, everything was just really good. My concern is, and I know $2,000 is not a lot of money, but $2,000 would buy more fingerlings to put in the river. So why do we need to fund a conference that is held in Brisbane? Why is there not enough interest for someone else to fund that conference?
Well, it's certainly being funded by other fishing companies. I suppose from us it's a tourism play rather than an industry play. This is the putting Rocky on the radar type stuff and the fishing the Fitzroy brand to ensure that not just conference goers but everyone associated, our brand is associated with it. So whether that's in Brisbane for attendees who may not even know that Rockhampton has this great fishing, the Fitzroy strategy, or Barramundi 1.5 hours on a plane and out on the river. So this is about brand building. This is not necessarily about you supporting the industry as such. So it's a marketing, I suppose I'll just say it's a marketing opportunity, so no different to doing a billboard for fishing the Fitzroy. To us, we see the value in marketing through this conference.
Yeah.
So,
I certainly saw that. Mr. Mayor, I guess so you as guest speaker, it goes along with the sponsorship, or was that happening anyway?
no, it goes with the sponsorship. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Again, it's getting the politicians in Brisbane as well, rather than having them all come here for the forums that we normally have annually in different towns along the coast.
Yep.
This is a much larger milestone and one that'll get a lot more recognition when that forum's occurring. So take advantage of that while we're there.
Right, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm happy to move. I think we've exhausted the questions there. Seek a seconder. Councillor Kirkland, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much for that report, Greg. 11.3, Regional Arts Development Fund 2022-23, Round 1, funding recommendations. Thanks, Wade.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Yes, new year and new round for RADF. So we kicked off our first round of funding for RADF and the committee met a couple of weeks ago. This is the first time this committee met. It's our new committee with our new terms of reference. They met, we assessed 9 applications together and also received an application for a new member to join the committee. Out of the 9 applications that we received, the committee were happy to fund 5 of those. And I have for you 5 applications for your endorsement, as well as an applicant to join the committee for your endorsement as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Mark. Councillors, Councillor Wickerson, then Councillor Rutherford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And thanks, Mark. And I'd like to pay particular thanks to Mark because while I was busy sunning myself on holidays, Mark stepped up for the inaugural meeting of this first rebranded, rejigged RADF committee. So thank you for stepping in and doing a great job. Now, just with the new applicant to the committee, and we've got a great breadth of talent and skill across that whole committee from all walks of artistic and cultural life. But I was particularly pleased to see, even though I don't know Janice, that she's got museums and cultural heritage experience too. So that's probably something that was a weaker point of our committee. So to balance that out is fantastic. So I look forward to welcoming her to the committee and meeting her. And there were some of the applications, and I guess the important thing for me with all the RADF grants when I'm going through assessing them, although from now on. I know I'm just chairing, but it's the D in RADF, it's the development. So it's not only having a nice time and having a conference or whatever, but it's bringing expertise from outside of our region to our local artists so to develop up their skills and build up that capacity. So all of these applications do that in one way or the other, from the contemporary artists. The second one with Denver Music. Now, people may know that Denver is one of our performers for the country on Kershaw, coming up very soon for Australia Day, and she also steps in frequently to our citizenship awards and plays music and sings the anthem there. So she's already contributing greatly to our community. So this will help her to put us on the map, because she's going to do a film clip which will include local technicians and film crew and a range of other people.
About 46. She's going to be engaging about 46 people from Rockhampton and about 4 people from Gladstone.
Yeah. So that in its own right is good, but it also then, when people see this, but I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic film clip and music elsewhere, it shines a light on us as well. And just finally, again, I think we talked about earlier about the visitor economy, to have a major photographic convention here with renowned presenters from all around the state coming right here to Rockhampton, Central Queensland. And I'm sure there'll be some photography involved in that too, so it'll build up our local photography club's capacity, but also take a range of photographs which I hope will get out into the broader community and again showcase Central Queensland. So I'm happy to endorse all of these recommendations. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Councillor Wilkinson. Councillor Rutherford?
Mr Mayor, I was just a little concerned. We're being asked, and I think I've raised this before, we're being asked to endorse someone onto a committee with just a name and a one-liner. There is no resume there. There is nothing at all for us to know. Now, I know that would be in closed session normally, but it's not even included in the confidential information, and I just feel a little uncomfortable. Absolutely, you know, I have no idea, but that's the thing. I have no.
It's the principle of it. Yeah, I get that.
idea.
So, Evan, can we look that on board so the councillors can have a bit of an idea about the CV of these people are going on to these committees? But I don't think we stop this one. I think it's just for future membership that we get a bit more detail on who they are. Thank you, Councillor Smith.
Oh yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a comment that we have so much talent in our CQ area, from artists to singers and performers. We don't realise the depth of our talent sometimes until they come out. Just on the weekend, a little girl from Baldy won a national competition at Tamworth, country music. And, you know, sometimes we don't even hear about them unless you read Facebook, unless you're their friend on Facebook. And I think we don't sing our praises enough with the depth of talent we have here.
No, that's right. And I think we've got great opportunities with things like Beef Australia, how we can look to promote our own homegrown talent in events like that, and especially with a country music theme. I think we've probably overlooked that for quite a while, and it's great to see how successful they've been through the Country on Key, and fingers crossed, Country on Kershaw is going to be just as great. So I think there's opportunities there, but also looking at our own homegrown talent in other spaces there, what different types of music that they are involved in, or other arts and culture as well. So I think there's great opportunity. You're right. We probably don't acknowledge and know what we actually do have. So there's probably opportunity for that to be promoted further once they achieve what these funding helps them do. Okay, thanks, Councillor Smith. No further comments on that one. Councillor Wilkinson, would you like to move that one? Have a seconder. Councillor Smith, I'll put that. Those in favour. Those opposed, motion's carried unanimously. Good morning and welcome, Councillor Mathers. No, you're right. It's I was stuck in the traffic there this morning for a bit myself. So, moving on to 11.4. Thanks very much, Mark, for that report. Fees and charges for Rockhampton Heritage Village, and I'll hand over to John. Happy 2023, John.
Through the Chair, happy 2023 to all the councillors. So what we have before us here is a report requesting some changes and additions to the fees and charges at the Heritage Village. So you'll see in the recommendation that, in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2009, Council adopts the following changes to the fees and charges schedule. The inclusion of market stall holder fees for Rockhampton Heritage Village for the remainder of the 2022-23 financial year, and the amended shearing shed hire schedule for Rockhampton Heritage Village ahead of the 23-24 financial year for the purposes of promotion and bookings in the 2024 calendar year and beyond. So you're all very familiar with the Heritage Village. Previously, the Heritage Village Friends Association ran the markets for us. Coming out of COVID, they declared that they didn't have the capacity to do that. So the council staff have trialled running the markets themselves. During that process, we set the site holder fee, as we've got outlined within here, and then a slight adjustment on a sliding scale starting at $35 for a standard site was introduced. Over the 2022 calendar year, the markets have grown in popularity and success, so we're pleased to say there. So the markets, as you can see, aim to be a family-friendly event with live music, eateries, amusement rides, and the Heritage Village operates what we would call vintage rides. And so when we say rides, we don't mean, you know, small carousels. We mean things like the rides in vintage cars or the carriage, that kind of thing. Of course, there's always some dedicated expenditure and effort required in developing and delivering the events. In addition to the stallholder fees, we did continue the $2 entry fee, which was retained by the Friends of the Heritage Village. We're now recommending here, with consultation with the community and stallholders, that we're going to increase the stallholder fees to something more certainly akin and in line with the rest of the market offerings around the community, but then also remove the $2 entry fee. Our estimation and view is that this will balance out and we'll still be in the similar place. Then part of the motivation for doing this is it reduces a lot of the labour and the cash handling that's required around $2 gold collar coin to $2 gold collar coin, which happens in the preparation for the event, during the event and after the event. And also the majority of markets don't charge a $2 fee. And the other thing that's worth noting that's a little bit different for when you normally attend the Heritage Village, which is a $5 entry, is because of the nature of the markets and frequently because of our weather there now at night, we actually don't have the heritage building displays open. So there is still a difference in offering why can you come to the Heritage Village just for a market and it's free, but when you come to actually experience everything else, it's $5. But we're then still asking for a fee or some funding when we actually go about doing the rides. So that's the first element. The second element is just the venue hire of the shearing shed. As you know, we're moving away from delivering food and beverage and alcohol service there. We're nearly completely out of alcohol service, which is good and matches with the, I guess, the strategy the council endorsed to try and make it as light touch as possible. We've revised the fees there. You'll see we've now just got it down to three, $1 and $80 per hour. That's a minimum 3 hours. That's for more those, I guess, morning teas and meeting events which happen during the week, often with community groups. Then we've got our classic function package of $2,200 and our signature function package of $5,000. We have also done some benchmarking with this for other sites around, and again, we're right where we need to be with this offering. So I'll just leave that to council to consider.
Okay, thanks very much, John. I'll go to Councillor Wickerson first as the portfolio spokesperson for the Heritage Village. So did you, Councillor Wickerson?
Yep, thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you to John. Just a couple of things. I'll probably split it up into the stall and market days. And
yeah, sure, certainly, of course.
So firstly, with the just some questions. With the stalls, is there an opportunity to have a smaller stall for the old price, just for people that are trying to break into this market? I know either 50 or 35 isn't here or there, but it may make a difference to some. So I'm thinking, does everyone need a 6x3 site? You know, could we still retain maybe some 3x3s at the old price for people that just can't find that extra $15 or so? Is that a possibility?
I would say through the chair, council can pitch that if they would request, but we believe that this is where we need to be.
Okay, I'm just thinking for some of the smaller ones that I've seen. And with the price increase, I know we got some supplementary information about other markets around the place, but does it line up with, say, the ones that are now at Callaghan Park? I mean, that would be our probably nearest competitor.
I'll have a look. Not Callaghan Park at the moment.
Sorry. Oh, not so far, beg your pardon.
Northside Plaza. No, I'm not aware whether we've benchmarked against there.
Yeah.
Or Stockland.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry, yeah, Stocklands.
Obviously, don't go.
I was about to call it shopping fair, so that's how I lie.
Okay, but if you're confident that it is in line with whatever...
Yes, so the team at the Heritage Village have done research and they've also spoken to market stall holders. Anecdotally, our market's one of the most popular markets, and of course we believe that we've got a really strong offering, and what I guess is important to market stall holders is good site support, and we're really going through planning and delivering all of that, a great ambiance, but more importantly, good traffic and good people attending. So by removing that $2 entry fee, which few other markets have, that could be viewed as a barrier to entry. So we, of course, with anything, with fees and charges, if after a year we feel that we're missing the mark, we do have that opportunity to come back. But this is what the team have advised me there, and I'm happy to.
Yeah, no, I support in principle the idea of making it free to get in. In theory, you should get more people come through.
And that's exactly what we're trying to achieve.
And then the stall holders will be happy because they have more.
And that's how we would be balanced. That's how we're balancing it off, and that's why we've brought not only the site fees, which we are aware have been very, very competitively priced. That's why we're bringing that along with the removal of the entrance fee at the same time.
Yeah. But that said, I'm still conscious that we need to make the bottom line also, and I know you said you're confident that they'll balance out from the site fees and not. But I was looking at the charge that we have for these heritage rides. The vehicle, it's only $2, which is not a lot of money these days. If you look at rides at the show, for example, that can be $20, $30 each. These vehicles need maintenance and fuel and people to run them that are trained. So I think we would be quite justified maybe to raise it up to, say, even $5, I think. If it's free to get in, maybe it's going to free up a bit of money for people to spend on rides, which is an option. If families are struggling, well, they don't have to do it. They can still come in and enjoy the whole experience without the rides, but I don't think that's going to be a burden. And to even publicise that money is for ongoing restoration of these vehicles and restoring new ones and keeping the old ones fueled up and operational.
All of the money that we generate is to support the whole operation of the showground, of the Heritage Village.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but how we market it, but I still think the $2 isn't a lot
of money.
It's
$3.
$3, speak, not even, well, it's only a $2 increase is what I was thinking, I think, but just to make sure that we get our money back. Like $5 these days is not a lot.
I'd probably like to hear from the others, councillors, see if that's supported. I'll go to some further questions and we'll come back to that one.
Yeah, and maybe come back to Sherry should do as a second.
Oh, sorry, have you got enough? Okay, right. I've got Councillor Smith and Councillor Latcham, Councillor Kirkland. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a question, John.
Mm-hmm.
If you remove the entry fee, would you still have a thing there where people could donate to the Friends of the Heritage Village?
To donate to the Friends of the Heritage Village?
Because when they were charging the $2, they just used to have a bin there, you threw your $2 in.
Yeah,
I don't know whether they were the days before you charged.
True.
To go
Even if any money's given at a council site, we've got processes that we need to have in place. We could consider that. We've spoken to the Friends of the Heritage Village, and when they said that they couldn't operate the markets anymore, we have offered them other opportunities to raise funds. We could have a donation spot for the Friends of the Heritage Village, and maybe if we went about doing that, it'd be something that we might be best keeping on site in a bit of a more secure way, other than a bucket which money's thrown into.
Yeah. Sorry. Similar to what they have at the zoo, John. Sorry to...
Yeah. Maybe that's an alternative that we can go down that path there.
Yeah.
Because the money, they raise is put back into the village anyway, and it's the ideal opportunity when you've got a big crowd coming through.
Yeah.
It's just my thought. And just a question, so we don't do weddings at the village anymore?
We certainly do weddings.
No, at Shearing Shed receptions?
Yes, certainly.
Oh, okay. I just thought you said we weren't doing food
No.
and wine anymore.
What we've
Food and-
decided to do is that we won't do the food or the alcohol service.
Oh,
So
right,
they
they're
then
gonna
bring their,
in
yeah, they bring their own caterers,
Bring
of
their own
course, and we, make sure, help facilitate that.
A lot of venues do that now, they just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
third
to
party.
have a wedding there would cost you 2,200, is that right? Classic function?
If that's the package that you're after, yes. But probably more often people would select the $5,000 option.
Or just for a wedding?
Yes, just
Councillor, I
Councillor-
can say that's pretty cheap, but I've just done 2 daughters last year, so, yeah, I first hand.
I was married nearly 17 years ago, councillor, and I too was astounded then.
Yeah,
John,
righto, we
don't dig any
digress.
holes for yourself at home, mate.
We,
What was that?
Don't dig any holes for yourself at home.
Look,
We'll carry on. Questions, Councillor Latcham. Thanks, Councillor Smith.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and through to John, if I may. Just firstly, I'd like to congratulate the Heritage Village team and the management out there. They've done an exceptional job to build the numbers. You can see at 3 different markets from last year. It's grown and grown significantly. And unfortunately, I didn't have the pleasure of going to the November one. We were going to the Best in Business Awards at Courtiers Resort. But we did notice the massive lineup of
you would have
cars.
had problems getting a park, sir.
So it was very popular, and it reflects in the figures, which was great to see that it's working, and it's working very well. So congratulations, everyone, the management on that. I did ask for some supplementary information yesterday through Alicia, and that was sent back to us this morning, and I appreciate that on short notice. Possibly my only real comments on it, as much as I'm supportive of trying something new and trying to boost the numbers while there's momentum, that's a great idea. But some of the statistics we got were kind of like comparing apples with oranges. And the reason I say with the stall holder fees, so to understand, I'm trying to get an understanding of what stall holders are charged around the region, and it was kind of, like I said, comparing apples with oranges. Some of the fees that were mentioned include insurance, others don't. And that's probably a point of difference, which you can't distinguish between the information we're given. The other thing is a lot of markets actually have 3x3, which I know Councillor Wickerson talked about, a smaller size. 3x3 is a more popular, a more common one out there. It's an option. So I was surprised that it was only a 6x3 on offer at the Heritage Village, and maybe that's all they've ever done out there. So, I mean, there's a lot of room out there, so they can afford to give them a lot of room. It's not costing anything for square meterage. So I kind of get that side of it. But maybe it is an option for smaller traders or people, hobbyists, who want to start up and do something. And because I think more the merrier. It adds for more offerings to the people in the community going out there. So just a suggestion on that one, and how it would have been good to see probably more of a benchmarking consistency, like a 3x3 column and a 6x3 column. And whether it did or didn't, what it did and didn't include. So just a bit of a comment on that one.
Fair enough. I guess sometimes when we're calling what would be deemed our competitors to get some information, that sometimes can be a little bit challenging and delicate.
And the other factor, I guess, is whether the venue itself, when we're talking about the different venues, is it shaded? Is it like Robert Swarton, or is it out in the open, which is subject to the weather conditions of the day? So that also comes into play as to whether people go to certain or want to have a stall at a certain venue.
I would say we're probably in a pretty good place as far as people want to be at our market, and look, we could probably review that in that I would, at the moment, if this is what the team's said, I would probably suggest holding at this. If we feel that we need to do a 3x3, we can certainly come back. We've also got enough, so...
Yeah, I think fees and charges can be changed, and I think it's a great opportunity to gauge that, and I hear the comments that we're looking at other options, so I think give it time to do a few markets and see whether there's a demand there, and whether it needs to be changed, so...
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to be considered. I think it's, like I said, we've got momentum, we've got people wanting to go there all the time, that's great, and we wish it all the best of success, because at the end of the day, we want the Heritage Village to be used by the community and used more regularly. So it's about numbers and enjoying the experience when you go out there. But happy to see that you're trying new things, happy to see getting rid of the fees to turn up, and I hope it works really well. But it is a risk, and I'll put that out there before I finish, it is a risk because if the fees themselves, is a point of balance where people say it's too dear, and I'll give that one a miss. And there are a lot of, as you can see in the report, there are a lot of other offerings for markets in the region, and sadly, a lot of the times they clash with, there's there can be at times more than one market on the same time and day. And if they look at the costs, they're going to make a choice. And I'd hate to think that sometime in the future people go, oh no, I'd rather go to that one than the Heritage Village one.
Again, sorry, John, I think that's a benchmarking that we can do as we go through. And again, fees and charges can be changed at any time. So I think it's a process that we monitor to see the success or failure of what that approach is. And again, that money's going back into the village, so we want to make sure that we're maximising the opportunity when we're also using resources from the rate base as well to do that facility. So I take on note your comments, and yeah, good suggestions, but we'll monitor that as we go forward. Councillor Kirkland, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I too would like to congratulate the team and Shani in particular. I've heard your name has come up with so many people, friends of the village, people that work there, the volunteers, the stall holders, the Parkhurst management, Parkhurst Shopping Centre management have all brought your name up and said how wonderful you are to work with, and that they do hope that you're going to be around for a long time. So do we. So congratulations on that to the whole team, of course. I do have questions around the entrance fee. You mentioned, John, that money has been retained by Friends of the Village. Was that always the case?
I'll correct you there. I believe we retained the entrance fee and they used to get the site fee. They no longer get the site fee.
Right.
They no longer get the Friends of the Village don't manage or deliver any of the markets anymore.
Right. My question then is, the money that the Friends of the Village were receiving, you're talking about, if they were receiving the entrance fee, according to the statistics that are in a later report here today, that would equate over 12 months to around $15,000 that they would have been utilising for fixing things around the village. How does that...
They're a completely separate association.
Right.
And they elect what they would like to spend their money on.
But it would be spent on things in the village.
That's their articles of association, which we don't have anything to do with. So their articles would say, we would like to help you with the refurbishment of the post office.
Yeah.
Or we would like to do something else. So there's no standing agreement that they contribute to the operational element of the Heritage Village.
What about if they're wanting to purchase something and have it brought to the village?
They can do that if that's something that we want to accept.
So my question is, by taking away that opportunity for them to generate an income, are we taking away their capacity?
I've discussed that with them, and we've offered them, would you like to run a stall? Would you like to do something else? Come to us about another way that you'd like to be able to raise the funds. At the moment, they're in a position where they've had a change of people within their organisation. So we meet with them and we've regularly, however they would like to expend money in support of the Heritage Village, we're open to it. But we don't have a mechanism to require them to spend the money.
Sure. Well, Mr Mayor, if I may continue. Coming off the end of what Councillor Smith has suggested about people wanting to give to the Friends of the Village and understanding that mechanics and the complications of handling money, there are other ways of having a donation, QR coding that, there's an organisation in town and every time I go to a particular cafe I see there's an opportunity for me to just tap my card and I'm giving $2 every time I do that. Is there not an opportunity for us to endorse something similar at the gate which would negate those money handling issues?
Through the chair, it's a bit off on another tangent, but I'm working with our finance team on how we can actually have that kind of facility that we could use both for, because the other time when we have this collection of small monies and people don't have cash anymore would be carols. Carols by candlelight, we have a similar issue. So right now I'm working with the finance team about how we can go about doing that. And there are other areas that might support would be things such as the zoo, the Museum of Art, the Heritage Village, and then maybe at times when council is partnering with somebody and funds are raised for a charity. So we're actually right in the middle of working through that, and I was working on it at the end of that last year, so that can be something that can be made available. The issue is how the money is received and what bank account it goes into as to whether the organisation that you're giving money to has DGR status, so deductible gift receipt status, or then it's just a straight donation. I'm not trying to be able to claim that from a tax perspective. But you are very correct. I think that's a facility that we need to work on how we can actually have that, because people don't carry cash anymore.
My final part of that entire question and thought process is, would the Friends of the Village, if they were to get, they certainly set themselves up to actually have their own QR code and have that at the stall entrance, would there be any objections from council to do that?
There wouldn't be
a way for them to raise their money, and it's totally separate for the council don't have to worry about it. It's their facility, they've got to tick all their boxes and have all their administration side to have that facility, their bank accounts, etc., their DGR, whatever it might be that they need. Is there any objection to having that?
None, from my perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a larger discussion from the table. We've got other areas that we could introduce that to as well. It's good, good idea, and something there that needs further discussion on. But I'm not opposed to it at all. I think it's a great, as you say, cashless society.
Thanks,
how we move in that space. So thanks, Councillor Kirkland. Councillor Wickerson, we might wrap it up then.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Before I go into the sharing shed properly, just to pick up on those points, very happy that the volunteers would have the Friends would have a capacity to generate some money, because even on market days, while they're not running the market per se, they're still very active in the market. So they're costume guides, they're driving vehicles, they get the place presentable before the market. So I think it's quite legitimate that they piggyback off the back of that and have an opportunity.
Yeah, happy to work through that. And also one of the things I've said to the Friends, even if they had monies and they didn't necessarily want to go about buying something, if there were members of them that were really keen on doing some kind of craft or felting or old style trade workshops or something like that, if that's what they were, and if that fits with their articles, very happy to provide that. So if they also want to, if they have other things that they want to spend their monies on that mightn't necessarily be paint this or buy that, if that fits with their articles and that's what their community is interested in, we'd look at trying to facilitate that for them as well.
Yeah. Mr Mayor, the other angle of that is looking backwards towards the volunteers. It gives them a sense of purpose as well. While they're doing their thing and they all love it, but they're aiming to raise money to do X projects, so it gives them a bit of focus and probably might motivate a bit better too. So, but just on the sharing shed, I wanted to ask, and I have no problem with getting rid of the premium package, because I understand with these optional lectures, whether it's beer barrels or whatever, there's lots of toing and froing with I want this and two of those and I'll change my mind. That the resources that soaks up is impossible to work with. So I don't know how the staff even do that. So to get rid of that middle one and just say, oh, you have the basic package, which has gone up a little bit, $300, or the premium one. I'm just wondering, do you know what the current breakup is? Like, do most people that come in and hire the sharing shed for a bigger function, is it the higher package, the signature package, or do most people go to the
I don't have that in my head.
No.
Shani, have you got that in your head?
No, probably.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering what the split up is, but I have no problem with that.
And we can look at providing those sort of breakdowns whenever you're interested.
Mm-hmm. And the other, just probably...
Could I give you some advice too with the orders? There's always the premium, not the...
Yes. Worth every cent. And the second one, it's sort of just a bit of a tangent. You said that we're sort of getting away from the liquor sales, and that we want to dry hire. Have we retained the licence that we have out there?
We currently have the licence. Yeah. We'd be looking to probably give that licence up once we get through the next little period. Then the licence would sit with somebody else. If there was an instance where we had to do an event, we are able, depending upon the nature of the event, we're able to apply for a temporary licence or a community licence. Right now, because we don't have a licence at the Walter Reed Cultural Centre, we've been asked to do front of house and a bar for an event which is hiring the Walter Reed Cultural Centre Theatre, and we're applying for an ad hoc licence there. So that would remove the requirements from us, and that would remove an expense, and we completely push that, and it can be a portable licence that somebody brings with them. So the way we've been managing it at the moment as we've been transitioning to having others provide the liquor licence is we do a temporary reduction of our licence and we reduce the area to our back storage cupboard. And then somebody comes down with their licence. So we're getting quite detailed now, but you can't have two licences overlaying on each other. So that's what we'd be looking to do.
My only comment would be I don't want to, like at the moment it makes sense, but down the track somewhere it may stop some other opportunity. And I think we've had chats about some higher ambitions of mine there. But when we built the place, there wasn't a nearby pub, from my memory, it's a long time ago, and now there is. So I think if we were to give up that licence in full, hastily, we'd probably never get it back because of that proximity of another pub. So I'd like to have probably a bit more detailed conversation before we go handing it back, just so it doesn't, we don't get our own way down the track. And it might be years away, but who knows?
Yeah, no, fair call.
Yeah, while we've got it, that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Wickerson. I'm a little bit reluctant. I'm not sure whether I got the support for the $5 with the rides, but it may be something we could gauge. As again, these things can change with fees and charges. It may be something we gauge with the operators and see whether that's palatable or not. But we can come back to that one again. I think maximising what the popularity of those events and how we can get more money back into the village is a great opportunity. But I think that evening approach has really made a difference in the whole event now, so which is great.
Yeah.
And again, Shani and the team, I think there's a lot of work that goes on behind, in the background that's changing the way things were done for a while. So
it's been a considerable effort by the whole team at the Heritage Village to deliver the markets ourselves. Yeah. So they've done a great job. Right, thanks very much, John. Happy to move Councillor Wickerson, seek a seconder. Councillor Latcham, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, John. We'll move on to item 11.5, sale of council land 337 Campbell Street. Thanks, John. Thanks very much, Kelly.
Morning, Mayor and councillors. Just presenting this report to you today on a property at 337 Campbell Lane. So it's an old laneway that council actually acquired in 2004 due to arrears of rates. There's a significant, if you have a look at the map and attachment 1, there's a significant shed encroachment from one of the prospective purchasers. There's 3 adjoining owners. One adjoining owner has no interest in purchasing and is happy if it's sold to other adjoining owners, and the 2 other adjoining owners both wish to purchase part of the laneway, so one which is mostly adjoining theirs and the rest to the encroaching owner. So proposing that it's sold to the adjoining owners, there'll be a market valuation report done to ensure that it's sold for fair value. The purchasers will be responsible for all costs associated, including the reconfigured lot application, surveying and so forth. If there's any questions.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Pretty straightforward report. I'm sure any questions from the councillors doesn't appear to be. So could I seek a mover and a seconder with regards to that report? Move Councillor Mathers, seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Kelly. We'll move straight on to the renewal of the lease at 11.6, the telecommunication towers, 10 Pilbeam Drive, Mount Archer. And thanks very much again, Kelly.
Thanks, Mr Mayor and councillors. So this one is a lease renewal. So the lease has come up. It's for BAI Communications. They're formerly known as Broadcast Australia. So they had it's not a different company. It's a name change for the company. So seeking a lease renewal of 5 years with 3 by 5 year options, which is fairly common for these types of leases. Again, there'll be an independent market valuation to ensure that the rent is consistent with the market rental for these types of sites. If there's any questions.
Questions? Councillor Kirkland, lights on.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to ask, does in the recommendation, does it need to reflect that the council will go to an independent valuer for the lease price setting of the new lease price? Does it need to be reflected in the record?
No, just because item 2 will authorise the CEO and myself to negotiate the terms and conditions, and then in the body of the report it talks about having the market valuation
So that's,
there.
yeah. Just the way I read the recommendation could mean that you set the price, yeah.
No,
But
so
if it reflects within the body, if that's captured
Yep.
within the
Okay.
recommendation.
we can put it in there if you wish, but
It's captured in the report, but that's, I think that'll be carried out there, Councillor Kirkland, so thank you. Councillor Wickerson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. A different sort of question, but council, my understanding is the council piggyback on some of the infrastructure up there with our radio communications. Is that, maybe to the CEO, is that right? I'm just wondering, do we pay rent? Firstly, is it this facility, Broadcast Australia facility, or another tower somewhere? I'm just wondering.
There's a few up there.
Yeah, it's a look at it.
Yeah, through the chair, I can't offer you answer exactly. We used to. I'm just not sure what the latest system actually does or not. But I know we used to have the 2 ways hooked up through there, and I think there's some other microwaves, but were used there as well. On the
I think when we amalgamated, and part of the de-amalgamation, we might have built a tower up there ourselves.
We've got our own tower now.
yeah,
For some parts of our infrastructure, not all parts of the infrastructure, because we used to transmit from here to the coast. Used to from here up the mountain down the coast.
Okay.
Just from here up there to go Mount Morgan as well. So I think we might have had some AI.
through the chair, we've got 2 licensed sites up there, so
okay, we've got our
yeah.
own. Yep.
Yeah, I think one for the radio comms and one for the FRW. Yeah, so.
Yep. Okay. Oh, great.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wickerson. Councillors, a mover and a second with regards to that report. Move Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Wickerson. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Marnie, we might just break for a 5-minute recess if that's okay, and then come back to the budget stuff. So, I'll just hold that starter's gun for a second. So, councillors, I'll declare a recess, and we come back at 10 if that's okay. I'll move and seconded Councillor Wickerson. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Move that we resume the meeting. Seek a seconder. Seconded, Councillor Kirkland. Oh, sorry, I probably need to go live then before I did that. Good. Right, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Meeting's been resumed, and I'll hand over to Marnie with item 11.7, Budget Summary Management Report for the period ending 31st of December 2022. Thanks very much, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good morning, everyone. So presented to Council this morning is the Summary Budget Management Report for the end of December. So halfway through the financial year, believe it or not, it's going very quickly. So in terms of where we're sitting, of course we need to be around the 50% mark of our budget. Operating revenue is sitting at 49%, so very close to budget. Some of those things that we're seeing impacting on that are rates and utility charges at 47% of budget. Grants are slightly ahead at 53%, and we're seeing some good gains in interest revenue due to changes in rates that we've seen passing through in the last 6 months. There's other income also ahead at 70% receipt of contracts and things like that in relation to the airport activity. So in terms of operating expenditure, we're around the 47% mark of our operating expenditure budget. Contractors and consultants are at 45%. They're due mainly to the timing of works planned and where things are progressing in terms of claims and things like that. Asset operational expenses are at 44% due to, again, timing of when we get our electricity accounts and when they're being paid. Admin expenses are sitting around the 40%, and finance costs are slightly over budget due to the timing of interest payments that we've made on our loan as at December. We would have made a quarterly payment then. So generally speaking, our operating revenue and expenditure is on track. A couple of items to note is that we're currently going through a monthly budget review process for November, December, January periods, and we'll be presenting that back to Council at the end of February once we've analysed changes. We're not seeing that there'll be a whole lot of changes to be made, but just reviewing that and picking up from any of the budget officers as to where things may need to change slightly, or something that's become known, I guess, that we didn't know already in terms of the changes to that. Our rates are also, second half yearly rates are about to go out, so issue on the 6th of February is the issue date, and 8th of March is the due date. So just so Council is aware of when those processes are happening very soon, so people will see them turning up in their letterboxes quite soon. Capital expenditure and income, so our capital income is behind budget at 24%. There's grants and subsidies tied to performance obligations, so as we progress through our capital expenditure, we'll see some changes to capital income, and our capital expenditure is also behind at 29%. Some major projects still ramping up. We will have seen a lull during that December period. You know, you do see that ease off during that time due to shutdowns and, you know, also supply availability as well. So as at the end of the month of December, total investments were 92.3 million and loans were 141.9, having done the repayment during the December quarter. So generally speaking, we're seeing that operational income and expenses are mostly in line with where we need to be. However, the capital program is behind in terms of what it looks like. So again, officers have been requested to look at what's happening with the capital program and reviewing cash flows and ensuring that things, if they need to change, will change. We do see a lot of commitments obviously issued, a lot of orders out there for a number of those big capital works projects. So it's just really the timing at this point that we're reviewing and ensuring that if things need to change, we become aware of them. But outside of that, I recommend that the report be received by council.
Okay, thanks very much, Marnie. Probably just on that last matter, I think it's something there that we can, your opinion, when would we see some understanding of where that the year is about achieving the goals that we've set in the budget, in the next month or so, or would it be longer?
I would think so. Once, through the chair, Mr. Mayor. So once we get past, once we do the monthly budget review for this period, we'll have a look at that and see what that's looking like in terms of the direction that people are taking in relation to some of those big capital works projects. You know, we've got things like the Mount Morgan pipeline, for instance. There's been material ordered in that space, but we're still yet to commence on construction. So there's those sorts of things that are impacting on the timing of the expenditure, and, you know, of course we need to be ready for the impacts of supply chain and those sorts of things as well. We are also seeing some escalation in costs, which is impacting on what we may or may not deliver during the rest of the financial year.
It was a record capital, so I understand that there'll be some pressures in that area. But I might go, I see Peter's come online there, I might just go to Peter, but I think it's something that, you know, what I'm looking for is a time when we get a full picture of where we are with a lot of those capital projects going forward for the budget. Peter, would you like to give us an update on a bit of that, please?
Yeah, I'll just add to what Marnie just explained. We are
If we're talking about
a lot of these big
Mount Morgan
projects.
pipeline, is there a problem?
Sorry, Peter.
If Peter wants to go into depth. with that.
Just mindful of Mount Morgan pipeline with Councillor Smith's thing. It's very high level, I think, Councillor Smith, what the question is.
It is. I'm only talking about the overview of the projects. We've just had Mount Morgan Pool tender closed yesterday. The pipeline will close at the end of January. So for me, around, I'm hoping mid-February, we'll be in a position to have reset and finalise the capital budget for the rest of the financial year, because we're out for about 100 million at the moment. So that's why there's a little bit of movement, and once we get those priced in, we'll be able to make decisions on which projects move first and which ones may be delayed.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Peter. Further questions, Councillor Kirkland?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 questions, and the first question was the one that you just asked, so thank you very much. We don't need to go there. The second question, because I was concerned about that, and rightfully, I'm sure everybody is. The second question is around the revenue expectation from property sales. Can I ask, have the properties been for sale for the whole period so far, or are some not even on the market yet? Because that's only at 1%, and I'm cognizant that there are some things that happened throughout last year that may have changed that, but still 1% out of that 7 million expectation.
Yeah,
Just wondering about that particular aspect of the budget.
So through the chair, so Councillor Kirkland, in relation to that property, there is one particular property that we're dealing with in that space.
Okay.
There is changes to the planning scheme that need to occur prior to that being sold. So no, to answer your question, no, it's not on the market at present, but we're working through the changes to the planning scheme to enable it to be put on the market, or to engage to sell that. So there may not, that also may be something that's not realised through this financial year because of the fact that we're contingent upon the changes to the scheme.
So we made the decision to sell it 6 months ago, and it's taken that long to change the planning scheme to...
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amendment process takes a fair...
Even internally takes...
It's
No,
not...
no,
It's not
state.
Oh, state.
Process.
Okay.
Yes. And sorry, Councillor, I asked that question with Marnie when she gave me a briefing on Friday as well. It's
9 to 12 months. Everything's so busy at the moment, it's around that 9 to 12 months to get us an amendments go through.
Okay, that's good. My third question was around the rates notice, those rates that are going out there. Marnie, is there any paperwork going inside the rates notices to talk to people, to show them the options as far as going electric, going onto a permanent payment scheme for themselves so that they're paying these off and that they're not caught off guard all the time and having to fork out the full amount of their rates. I mean, it's a simple thing to do, but is there a reminder of how to do that in the actual rates notice?
To answer your question, no, Councillor Kirkland, there isn't. I mean, when our staff are talking to members of the community, they are, you know, through customer service, they're encouraging those payment arrangements, or they're you know, providing them with the ability to be a bit more self-service aspects and getting onto e-services and things like that. So registering for your e-notices and ensuring you're managing that aspect, you know, encouraging the BPay arrangements that they can self-instigate. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't done that, but it's a regular occurrence in that we're having those conversations often. We are seeing that as at the end of December, the outstanding rates balance was 2.09%. So it is quite low in terms of what we're seeing from a rate recovery process, and the robustness of our procedures are contributing to having those engaging discussions with people who are, you know, potentially facing hardship or finding it difficult to pay. So, yeah, there are processes in place for that.
It's a good point, though. I think it may be something we can consider, not this notice, but after the new budget, something that's included in that space to give that options.
For budgetary could I just further bounce, sorry, Mr Mayor, just want to ask again then, does Council initiate those conversations with community once you recognise that they're 20 or 30 days in arrears or something, or do you wait for them to contact you to do those conversations that we just mentioned?
We have a number of steps that we take in relation to our recovery processes. So we're, you know, making contact at certain stages beyond when the rates are due, and it is more up to the ratepayer to ensure that they're engaging back with council. We often see that we will have contact with ratepayers and they will not want to have our contact, and that makes it challenging to have those discussions, because we will often see that we've got a ratepayer that's found themselves in quite an invidious position, but they've had a number of contacts from us that have, you know, potentially been ignored or not acted upon in a timely fashion, which doesn't leave them many opportunities then to avoid, you know, things like legal action and those sorts of approaches. So we do try and encourage people to contact. Our messaging often says, please do not ignore this contact. You are requested to contact council to get into, to make arrangements or to discuss your concerns around payment. So we are making those regular contacts, but it's often sometimes one-sided.
Thanks, Marnie. Mr Mayor, I think that just validates again the need for us to be on the front foot with that and to make them feel comfortable, make our residents feel comfortable that they can call before it gets to that stage. And certainly with the way that we get all of these spam text messages saying you're late for this payment or you've got an invoice out due, a lot of us just ignore those now because we're told to.
Yeah,
because they're not.
And agree. I think it's something there we can consider in the upcoming budget deliberations, and whether that's an option for our next rates notice.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you, councillors. We don't have any further questions with regards to this report. I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Those in favour. Those opposed. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 11.8, the Housing Construction Grants Policy to rescind. Councillors, I'm not sure. It's a pretty straightforward report. Any questions to Marnie on that one? Look, again, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Oh, sorry, question, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I sort of thought about it. I thought, is there any way we would look at introducing that again? I know it was an incentive, and at the moment, builders can't build houses fast enough still, but it was a really good incentive. And I can see a lot of people have taken it up. Yeah,
I think there was some, like a number of compounding issues when that happened. There was a material shortage, builder shortage, COVID, and then there was another grant from state or federal government, I think. So that added to it, really put the pressure onto the builders and the developers once they've signed those contracts to deliver, which was a bit of a tsunami for them. Unfortunately, it put a lot of pressure on the market at the time. So, and our financial position with the reduction in the federal assistance grant money has really slowed that down to a degree as well. But I think in the future there's all those options that we look at and consider at the time when the market recovers about whether we look to support that space. But again, I think there's even talk about whether it'd be better seeking funding for the first home buyers grant to go into trunk infrastructure rather than to build the property itself when people are applying for it, giving council more of a relief, but helping reduce the cost of the construction. So we see benefits in that, so we'd be maybe better advocating in that space. So yeah, I get your point, but I think as far as this one goes, I think it's run its race and we move on from there. So I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Kirkland, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Marnie. Moving on to 11.9, the whole of council corporate performance report for the period ending December 2022. And hand over to Ross. Thanks very much, Ross.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good morning, councillors. This report's presented at this point. We formally adopt it, and it's set later on in the briefing sessions to go in detail. However, councillors quite welcome to ask any questions if they like at this point.
Councillors, questions to Ross? Ross, that's a good report if we've got no questions, so I'll give you a good mark for the start of the 2023. So yeah, we'll deal with that in the briefing session as we have opportunity for that. Okay, councillors, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Rutherford, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much. Moving on to 11.10, Rockhampton Regional Council 2022 credit review. Again, thanks very much, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, excuse me. So, councillors, this is the outcome of the credit review that was conducted by Queensland Treasury Corporation in November of last year with input from most of the leadership team at that time. We met with QTC and discussed various aspects of what was happening locally in the region and the impacts in terms of where we've seen some impacts on our financial position, particularly in relation to financial assistance grants reductions and population growth and those sorts of things. So the credit review evaluated council's current financial position. It looked at also our forecasts in relation to what our long-term financial forecast identified and what was adopted at budget for the 2022-23 year. It also looked at our capital expenditure and asset sustainability aspects and general economic conditions regionally. So effectively where council has finished is that we are remaining at a moderate credit rating with a neutral outlook. So it remains unchanged from the credit review that was undertaken in late 2020. Very similar wording in terms of the theme that they responded to council on, but effectively, you know, they are acknowledging that council has high council-controlled revenue in its reliance on rates, its balanced operating results and adequate financial flexibility. It has noted that our borrowings are relatively high and increase over the medium term, but they are, given what we've provided them, they are okay with the debt levels and the serviceability metrics, which are below the benchmark levels for a period of time. But they also acknowledge that we had that deliberate strategy in which we were paying off those larger loans in a shorter period of time, which will become finalised towards the end of this calendar year. They also note that there are some pressures around population growth that we're seeing. The trend is not necessarily what we had thought it would be when some of the forecasts have been released. So they have also acknowledged around the affordability of ratepayers and the reduction in the financial assistance grants and our reliance on that. So there has been all of that information taken into consideration. They have released the neutral outlook on the basis that they can't see, or we haven't provided them with any outcome that would show in the next 2 years that where we're impacted on council's capacity to meet its financial requirements. But of course, keeping all of that in mind, council, we have to maintain fairly strict controls over our spend programs, what our capital program is, how we fund that capital program, what our borrowings will end up being. So, you know, for instance, we've got 30 million in our borrowing program for this year. Whether we actually draw down all of that as a result of what our spend program will be for our capital, that will be consideration later towards the end of the financial year. But generally speaking, it's presented to council on that basis that it remains unchanged, and our ongoing management of it is critical to ensure that it does continue that way.
Yep, thanks very much, Marnie. Again, I see this as a tool that we can start to use to advocate for further investment from other levels of government, because of that neutral outlook is something there that we haven't seen that growth occurring. So jobs and growth are what we really need to do, and on the back of the adoption of the economic development strategy and plans today, that'll give us a better opportunity to start to formulate what we need to do when we're going forward to engage with the other levels of government about providing those jobs of the future to move from that rating that they see us there. The question to you though was the waste levy forward looking about that waste levy coming off included in that review at all?
Mr Mayor, what occurred is that when we adopted the budget last year, we weren't fully, the waste levy wasn't really clear in terms of how it was going to occur. There was advice around that, but there was that aspect discussed with them. There is some further modelling that we need to do internally in relation to what the waste levy impacts will be and how that will ultimately impact on our users of the waste facility and also our ratepayers. So there isn't a lot of good to come out of what's happening with the waste levy, I suppose, and it is really, we're seeing the state government passing on that burden to council because of the reduction in the waste levy progressively over the next several years. So that's a challenge for us, which will be something we'll need to monitor quite closely. We're also not seeing the impacts in terms of reduction of waste to the landfill. So this whole situation where we're heading towards this zero waste aspect is something that will be a challenge for us.
And that's the concern that I have going forward. If we haven't got that growth and we're impacting with these further costs for council to operate, and looking on the back of last year's announcement with the federal assistance grant and what that meant to us, it was the biggest impact since de-amalgamation, and now this opportunity, possibility, or we can read the tea leaves, it's going to happen with the waste. That's a similar type of an impact, and if we haven't got the population to be able to absorb those costs going forward, it's just going to put further strain on our existing. So that is the real concern going forward. So we need to highlight to the other levels of government that situation, and make sure that they're fully aware and cognizant of what those impacts can be on a regional community going forward. So it's a big picture overview that we need to be able to sell, and I think that's not a good. It's not a bad outcome, but it's not a good one either. No. So we've got to make sure that we move forward with that. That's probably my soapbox for this morning, but it sets the tone for the rest of this term of our council. Councillor Kirkland and then Councillor Rutherford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, just on that, do you think that you should be putting together a letter now in anticipation of where that's going and talking to...
All that work's happening in-house. We've got to understand what the process is before we start to do that advocacy.
Advocate.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Through you, Mr Mayor, to Marnie, just looking at this report and the wording, and then the fact that it's moderate and neutral, would you agree that that's kind of a bit of a fence-sitting position that's leaning to the negative? Given the wording, given the fact that they're not really willing to say, well, we're not good and we're not bad, but we're kind of bad, but we're not anything.
Yeah, I guess it puts the ball in our court to make sure that, they will only give us certain levels of advice. That's QTC. We need to obviously manage our finances and our organisation accordingly. But they won't necessarily, unless it was incredibly dire, and they were saying it's a negative outlook or something like that. it's really down to us. They will potentially, QTC could potentially provide us with assistance if we so desired, but again, it would be more of an advisory type of assistance and not really anything that we can't necessarily, or what we're not aware of type of thing. A lot of the themes that were in the letter were things that we had communicated to them.
Marnie, would you say that we are vulnerable? Would you say that word is appropriate or not?
I think we need to be careful about saying whether we're vulnerable. I think, we know some of the issues, we're aware of them, we just have to keep track of that and keep on top of it.
We can't keep coming back to the ratepayer pool to keep sustaining these shocks. So that's the message we've got to start to portray to the politicians, and we've got to do that in a clear way to be able to translate that across to say that we're really concerned about what's going on moving forward, and that's without that growth, what that means with these shocks that we're sustaining at the moment.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree
about
with you, Mr.
affordability and what services we're providing to the community.
I agree with you. I think that this report doesn't necessarily reflect that. It's taking a safe stance. It's not really giving us ammunition to reflect where we are.
That's a 2-year time frame, so I think we work with what we've got at the moment, but we need to be mindful going forward that these other impacts can do that. So we've got to then go and try to change those decision-making processes, because we're at that trigger point of the 80,000 population that brought us into the federal assistance grant one, and now it's the same that we're being put into the waste council group as well. We get punished for being a larger council, but we haven't got that growth in their forecast to say that we're going to be able to sustain those impacts. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but we've got to get that message across to the state. We're at a flat line when it comes to our growth in the region. So that's why I'm talking up growth and jobs, and how we can look to the future about manufacturing and providing those sustainable jobs in our region going forward, which is part of the economic development strategy that we delivered this morning.
Thanks, Mr.
Thanks, Councillor Kirkland. Councillor Rutherford.
Mr Mayor, my questions, comments are probably along the same line, and I'm just wondering whether this is a subjective outcome from the review, or whether it's actually based on a matrix that is apples for apples of all local governments. And I guess the reason I ask that is, given their review of us for the northern suburbs and for the FAGS grant, how could they have come out with a report that said anything different so soon after that review?
Through the chair, I guess, Councillor Rutherford, it's not really a comparison of us to other councils. It's more about what our position is. They're looking at us, so it's not used as necessarily a comparison to other councils. They will go and do a credit rating on those other councils depending on which tier they fall into, and obviously they're then rated, but they will all have different and individual scenarios or impacts, which will impact on what their rating is and what their outlook might be. So,
and sorry, Marnie, and all they say is you've got a rate base there, you go back and charge the ratepayers. That's the outcome. Just keep putting rates up, similar to what they've done with the federal assistance grant, saying that you've got capacity there with the rate base of that scale to be able to sustain any of those those shocks going forward. So just keep putting your rates up, which is unsustainable when we're a regional centre that needs that without that growth. So that's a message we've got to portray going forward.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I have heard comparisons, but between local governments, about who's doing better according to these reviews.
Yeah.
And it just worries me that, given the impacts we've had, that we've sort of got the same review as we've had at times when we were doing quite well. So, I'm a little sceptical, and given that their review played such a big part in other decisions that impacted us heavily last year, I don't see how we were going to get anything different from this.
Yeah.
So,
That's probably right.
Yeah. It frustrates me to no end as well, Councillor. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. You're just talking about the rating and outlook definitions and what it says, it's just so generic. They just put the word in there, moderate or sound or strong, very strong. There's nothing, no other information there or no other. I just.
No,
And
I hate
you
to say it, it looks like
you wonder
cut
what the
and paste
difference is sometimes.
from the previous one. Mm.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the other councils around us are rated as well.
Were all councils reviewed, Marnie? Was just
It
a
will
select
depend
few?
on the timing and also whether what borrowings they have, because we're a tier 2, we're reviewed every 2 years.
Yep.
Other councils are, if they've got borrowings of less than 80 million, they're a 3-year period, and anyone that's got borrowings over 200 million will be an annual period, and that's something that we will face in the future with the current forecast borrowings that we have. We'll be looking at a credit review every year annually. So, yeah, it's all different timings, and you know they're not all councils probably publicly release these either. I'm not. I haven't gone really looking, but you know that I don't know which councils actually publicly release it or what they have available.
Whether it's a requirement. Yep. Thanks, Marnie. Councillor Wickerson, and we might wrap it up, Councillor.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Probably just to follow on from what Councillor Rutherford said, to my view, the problem with the tiers is they're such broad things. They need to be more high resolution, if that makes sense. So more tiers or more categories or something, like just to look at the borrowing. So 20 million to 200 million is a fair chunk, isn't it? I think so. It's not surprising that it does seem generic and cut and paste. That it's you need to know that are you at the bottom end of the scale or are you getting towards the top end, and also to pick up that. I know there'll be different timings depending on which tier the other councils are, but it would be beneficial to look at similar size councils or our nearer neighbours and just see where we fit into the scheme of things. That might be. I mean, I guess that's all public. Ours is public, so I guess the others are too. So
well, yeah, like I said, I'm not sure, Councillor Wickerson, which councils choose to release it publicly because it's not available on Queensland Treasury Corporation's website. So, yeah, it's really whether whether other councils release it as well.
I think you look at the overall number of councils and where they stand in sustainability, give you a good indicator. There's quite a lot of them out there, the smaller ones that are not up there anyway. So yeah.
So, Mr Mayor, so just quickly through you, Damani. So we choose to publicly be accountable with ours and post it in or put it in our reports, but others don't. They're not obliged to.
Sorry,
well,
Chair, we've been doing it for every time we have a credit review. We've been releasing.
I think that's good.
Transparency.
I think the comparison. Sorry, I think the comparison that Councillor Rutherford was talking about. I think it's when the media do inquiries to other councils release their information. They do this comparative, which is not really comparative because it doesn't take into account all the other situations that other councils may face.
Okay, thanks very much. Marnie, thanks very much for that report. I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Smith, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Moving on to our last item there, 11.11, sale of properties for overdue rates 2023.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Wickerson, sorry.
Sorry, Mr Mayor and Marnie. Just to finally clarify, that none of us have a conflict of interest with these without going to... Well, but I think if I do, we all do. Yeah, and there is another...
I wouldn't suggest that would create the conflict of interest. If you if you can't reasonably know that there is some type of tie between you and your proximity, I wouldn't think there'd be a conflict of interest.
Can I just run, without mentioning, run one by just a scenario just to check? Because I'm happy to leave. So
well, I think if you're asking the question, you might want to leave.
It's a couple of... Yeah. Well, but I have two. Well, one is, and the other one is a work colleague of my spouse. Probably too much already there. I may choose to leave. Yeah. Okay, Mr Mayor, I will leave, and I might give the details offline.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me just.
Yeah. Right, thank you. Council will just take it. Councillors, I might, just in the interest of the timing, I might adjourn the council meeting while they're doing this deliberations and come back once that's been concluded. So I'll adjourn the meeting and resume the meeting at 15:15. So, councillors, I'm happy to move, seek a seconder. Councillor Latcham, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Mover and a second. I'm happy to move, and Councillor Wickett seconded that we resume the meeting, and we've resolved the issue, and we'll hand over to Marnie to present the report of 11.11 sale of properties for overdue rates 2023.
Okay.
Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So Council has provided to you today is a report in relation to properties which we propose to take action to sell in relation to overdue rates and charges. The property IDs have been provided to you as listed. That's publicly available, and also in the confidential part of the agenda you've been provided with further details in relation to those properties. The recommendation, based on what we have identified in the report, the properties have had either outstanding general rates for at least 3 years, or there may even be circumstances where there are unpaid water rates for over a period of 3 years, and the proposal is to take action in order to sell those properties to recover those rates. Just to give some context, Council, I guess you will recall that we did go through this process last year as well, and at that time there were around 93 properties that were originally presented to Council, and by the time we got to the part of where we were auctioning those properties, there was 3 remaining that were sold to recover those rates. So this process does initiate a number of actions by either the ratepayers or their mortgagors to provide them with the funds in order to pay out the outstanding balances of those rates. And yeah, unfortunately we have to go through this process, but we've taken the steps that we have to date to recover those rates without the necessary action being from the ratepayers to pay the outstanding amounts, and as a result we are left with this process to take action with them on. So yes, there are 50 properties provided to Council, the details provided there in relation to those outstanding rates, and we hope that we'll have a similar outcome that we did last year, where we'll have most of the action taken prior to even going to sale.
Thanks very much, Marnie. Questions? Councillor Mathers?
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. I've just got a comment and a question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Marnie, I just wanted to say, you know, I'm never comfortable when this comes to the table, because this is not something that we want to see happen to anyone, you know, they lose their property. But like you were sort of saying, you know, last time 93 properties, only 3 went, so, you know, around 3%. So it's a good strike rate to get people to, you know, pay their arrears. But so that's my comment. The question I had is in regards to, is it okay if I just give you a property ID?
Yeah.
So the property ID was 786-515. And the question I've got is, I just see that, you know, there's only 1 year rates, but 4.5 years of outstanding water rates, and only a very small amount.
Yep.
Is this something that we've only just started doing to recover outstanding water rates? Because I understand it's only, you know, 12 months worth of rates that are outstanding, but so that seems quite a small amount that we're chasing that for.
It is a small, it's acknowledged. There's about half a dozen properties in that list, Councillor Mathers, that have relatively small amounts, but the trigger is the time period over which those amounts have been outstanding. All actions that we've taken to date have not resulted in those rates being paid. So as a result, although it seems like quite extreme action, hopefully it will trigger the ability of that person to come to us and talk to us about paying the outstanding amount and avoiding the sale process. So yes, we are entitled to, in accordance with the legislation, regardless of whether it's a general rate, a sewage rate, water charges or access fees. So if it's been over 3 years, then we have an ability under the legislation to take that action.
All right, Mr Mayor, yeah, thanks very much, Marnie. That's basically what I was trying to find out. Was so it is just a trigger point of time. It doesn't matter whether it's general rates, water rates, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Mathers. Councillor Latcham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a general observation, Marnie. It's interesting that there's very few pensioners actually in arrears. So that was a positive, I guess, out of it, anything, as much as this isn't a pleasant process. But it's good to see the pensioners are on the ball and making sure their payments are on time, which is great, which probably lends itself to those who do the payments every fortnight or whatever they do, or every month. through that system, obviously that's working very well. So that's a positive out of it.
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry. Right, I will look like we've exhausted the questions on that one. I might seek a mover, and I'm happy to move, seek a seconder with regards to that report. Councillor Kirkland, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Marnie, and hopefully we get the whole lot of those ones, and no sales need required. Councillors, we do have an item to be dealt with in closed session, 16.1 Legal Matters Report for October the 1st, 2022 to 31st of December 2022. And could I move that the meeting move into closed session to discuss public with the following items and considering confidential in accordance with section 254J3 of the local government regulations for the reasons indicated. I'm happy to move, seek a seconder. Seconded Councillor Kirkland. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. And that the meeting now moves into closed session and to be closed to the public. Move Councillor Wickerson. Have a seconder. Councillor Mathers. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. The meeting will now move into closed session.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Councillor Smith. Councillor Smith. Okay, are we right? Okay, councillors, we're in open session and I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation that the legal matters report containing updates on the legal matters for the Rockhampton Regional Council as at the 30th of December 2022 be received. Seek a seconder. Seconded Councillor Kirkland. I'll put those in favour. Those opposed, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, that brings us to the end of the agenda items for today's council meeting. I thank you for all your support and participation. I'd like to close the meeting. Thanks very much, and I'll declare the meeting closed.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming